Okay, here we go. We are at October 23rd today, and we are working on logical law of attraction manifestation checklist. So this is, I believe, our third week, I'm guessing, and we talked about the original clarity, vibrational and emotional clarity. The few people that have done that work have found it very interesting. Once you engage and really work at that level of clarity, you're doing a couple of things. One, you're aligning vibrationally. The more in clarity you are, the more things around you can orchestrate more clearly and cleanly and efficiently and effectively. And two, you're engaging with yourself, which is a high part of self-love, right? And then we talked about the alignment last week, which is a little more on the how-to, the strategy, what I like to call the grunt work, the human aspect of action and what's realistic and how you're going to hone in there. I kind of mentioned gratitude a little bit. Today, I wanted to jump right into forgiveness for this 15-minute clip. This is more important than most people realize. I was saying that if you go in order, these first four are really important. And then if you're doing everything right and you're not getting the result you want, then usually you want to look at forgiveness. And yet today, I'm going to talk about it in a different way because forgiveness is an energy that could turbocharge your journey and where you're going. So I'm going to talk about it in a way that you may not be familiar. So usually when we see forgiveness, and the sticky part I was talking about here, to use if you're not getting the results you want in a relationship, with money, with work, with career, with a move, with anything going on, if you're doing everything by your perception right and you can't understand why things are screwy, you really want to back up and do some serious forgiveness work, right? And then the way you want to apply it to this checklist, so, oops, let me see this is right. So forgiveness is an energy, right? I can't hand you forgiveness. It's not like I can hand you the eraser, right? It's an energy. It doesn't really exist in remarkable ways here yet, right? It's a pretty new energy for the human species, right? The opposite of forgiveness is war, prejudice, hatred, violence, impatience, cruelty, gossip, withdrawing, withholding, revenge. So the opposite of forgiveness is all the things that we struggle with as a species. So if you want to access this energy for manifestation, for conscious co-creating, the way you would want to look at forgiveness, it's all about judgment, right? Which is the opposite of love. So we talk about gratitude as being the yes energy. Forgiveness can also help you by Eric goes off and I feel like I'm yelling. Forgiveness, if you look at it at this level, so some forgiveness is big. Like you may need to forgive birth family. We always say blame the mother, right? I'm a mother, I get to say that. There may be things that you haven't forgiven in the past, right? There could be situations. Sometimes you have to forgive. You could lose an identity. It could be through a career loss. You could have been downsized and you did nothing wrong. You might need some forgiveness energy there. So forgiveness energy is about coming out of judgment. So the opposite is love. So let's talk about those two just for a minute. So love is all-inclusive and it's good. Real love. Right? Not controlling love, not conditional love, and that's not a very big energy on earth yet. But we kind of have an idea of it, so that's good, right? Judgment, or in its extreme version, non-forgiveness, these are all the negative emotions and patterns, right? So that would be along the line of getting your feelings hurt and not letting it go. Feeling you don't feel safe enough to speak up, to be seen, to be heard, to receive help. You don't feel safe enough to give. So all these you can look at a few different ways. There's very few humans on earth. My boys like to tell you that they might be the only ones, or very few of them, that have really been raised in a way that they felt loved. Not conditional love. They felt loved even when they drove me crazy. We were clear that their behavior drove me crazy and that I still love them. But most of us have been raised with conditional feeling love, where if we were punished or reprimanded or criticized, it felt like punishment, not a consequence, and it felt like we were being told we should feel bad versus being guided into a better experience, right? So those are kind of the differences. So when you're talking about energy, it's not so much what you say, it's not even what you do, it's very much the energy patterns that are running behind you, or through you, or around you, right? And a lot of them are just inherited, it's not so personal. So when you talk about the ideal of love, which we're evolving into, we do have enough that we haven't killed our species or our planet yet, which is pretty incredible. So you have some big hitters with love. We all want to aim there. And so that's all inclusive. That makes it good for everybody. That's your principle-based thinking. Seek first to understand. Win-win. It's about more than you, right? And then when you go into judgment, you withdraw. You isolate, right? All of a sudden, if you want to talk about this in a different way, love is a yes energy and judgment is a no energy, right? Love will feel safe and abundant and lavish. It will take care of more than one person at a time. And judgment is a no energy. It contracts, it separates. And for whoever's being judged, it doesn't feel safe, right? So you may not think of these things as hindering your ability to bring in more good, and yet I promise you they do. Because once you are reaching for something that's outside the consciousness you're already in, judgment, negative judgment, is what will rear its nasty head to pull you back into victim consciousness. Right? So you want to always look, have you forgiven the past? And again, that could be anything. It could be the government. It could be the economy. It could be the neighbors. It could be the house. It could be your body if you've had a health issue. Where are you holding on to feeling bad? That's all forgiveness is. It's never about the other person. Forgiveness is about what are you holding on to instead of inner peace. So gratitude's a really cool way to build your stamina for yes, more that I like, please. And forgiveness is a way to clean up anything that's showing up that doesn't allow you to feel good. So when you talk about law of attraction, and you hear the term attract it, it's not quite that. It's that your consciousness fits what you want next. And so it's actually a lot of work when you're on your own to expand your consciousness to be a fit for whatever you want. And the reason your consciousness doesn't fit all the things that the spiritual teachings teach us, that we're good, we're made in God's image, that we're innately good. I can assure you that I haven't found it very innate. It's been something I've earned and worked for, right? Well, the reason is because we have a stockpile. We're very complex beings, and we have inherited through our DNA, through our genetics, through our personality, through our species, through the planet, through the consciousness here, we've inherited a lot of judgment and not feeling safe. And it makes perfect sense. It's quite logical because Earth's a tough planet. It is such a tough gig here, you have to sleep like 1/3 of the time or you don't feel good. That's a pretty tough planet, right? Or species to be if you need that much sleep. So think about it. You can die from a germ you can't even see. You could die from a mosquito, accident. Everybody you love is absolutely going to die, either before you or after you. You could be the worst person in the world and then you die. You could be the best person in the world and then you die. It is a tough gig being human, and it's been really tough on this plane of existence. This is the first time on Earth that many of us have the luxury. We're safe. We have the luxury. We don't have to worry about food or shelter or even our time. We have more time to actually explore things like conscious co-creation. So once you start expanding in your ability to feel good, because everything you want is because you believe you'll feel better when you have it. So your consciousness to match what you want next that you don't yet have needs to expand. Your set point needs to expand to more good. And there's a lot of skill to learn how to do that on earth. One of the biggest, fastest ways there is kick up the forgiveness. So how would you utilize it when the snarky judgment starts talking? Right? Remember, you can't just get rid of something. It never works. You want to replace it with something. So ideally, you'd pick love. If that's not your thing, though, you could pick something else. It's a hard thing to aim for, but there's a lot of research. There's a lot of good books you can read, and there's a lot of help for it. And once you start thinking about what is my energy of judgment? Now, for me, I always knew, well, I don't want to be, judging, but it just kept happening. And one day I found the word that helped me feel it, because I'm really a feeler, right? So for me, I had to engage at a feeling level to really anchor something. Where other people, you could be more analytical. So for me, the word was reprimand. And I was like, oh, I know that energy, that holier than thou, that reprimand energy. So that was easier for me to catch it. Then I could feel when I was in judgment. And I would replace it. Instead, I would aim for something else, like compassion. Or for me, I like to understand things because I like to teach things. And I like to make it easier for those that are seeking how to do it more quickly and easily. So for me, if I look at a judgment, I would say, well, what about that am I judging as wrong and why? And what could be a different perspective? What if it wasn't wrong? What if it was okay? Now, I got a lot of practice when I was raising my children. They're on this journey of growth with me. And I literally said to them numerous times, you cannot get it wrong. You can, however, learn to have a better experience. Well, I was actually brainwashing myself. And so I was able to raise them without seeing them as wrong. Now, it was hard. There were some things that really pushed my buttons, and I'd want to should them. Whenever you're using the word should in judgment, not as a teaching tool, but in judgment, you're separating. You're in a right and a wrong. So the problem with this, when you want to be very consciously co-creating, or another way to say that, you want to honor your creator by choosing, by developing the skill of choice and participating fully in the experience of your life, then you want to look at how can it be more connected to things that are good. If you're talking business, this would be how can you be the coworker, the colleague, the boss, the manager who is solution-oriented instead of the critical one, right? So energetically speaking, and when you're talking about manifestation, remember that judgment always limits you, and it feels bad. Every time you feel bad, every time you have hurt feelings, resentment, negativity, holier than thou, I always did that one really well, martyrdom, poor pathetic me, self-pity, boy, that'll cut you down, cut you off from the source quick. Whenever you have any of that, they woulda, shoulda, coulda energy, you know that you're in judgment and you are not expanding your consciousness to receive what you want next. And you aren't contributing to the world in a way that you would be proud of when you're not emotionally charged, right? So here's a piece I just want to add in. So you understand, you have judgment and you have discernment, right? So love on earth needs to have the mind as a tool, because unconditional love is not the norm here. So love that's not used strategically and intelligently on this plane of existence looks like addiction and codependency, right? So you don't want that. You want to be intelligent. So when I loved my children, I didn't just say, sure, stay on the couch all day and don't go to school. I love you so much, I'm not going to make you go to school. Right? You're intelligent. I love you enough to make sure you're a high-functioning adult when you get older, right? So that's using the mind as a tool. So judgment, you want to come out of the negativity and the separation, and you want to use the mind as a tool to go into discernment. Discernment means, oh, look at all this possibility. Is our Creator not magnificent, all the diversity that's created? All the different feelings, all the different perspectives, all the different possibilities, all the different everything today, right? Music, phones, clothing, everything is just incredible. It's going so quickly. Expansion's going so quickly now. So discernment. Look at everything that exists. How do I discern what gives me the best experience? Right? That's different than judgment, which limits and pushes away and separates. So you do want discernment, and you do want to always use your mind as a tool so that you can choose love. And why would you choose it? Because it makes you feel good when you get skilled at it. Notice I said when you get skilled at it. And when you're in the energy of love, when you're in the energy of connected to everything that is, even though you have the discernment to focus only on that which is your circle of influence and that which you enjoy, then you can expand your consciousness to get whatever it is you want next. Good? All right, so the rest of us will dive into that, and we'll be back with the next 15 minutes next week. Oh, wait, one more piece I wanted to say. So we break it down in chunks, because that's how humans learn. I just want to remind everybody, it's when you use all of it together that you start really getting skillful and having consistent results.